What's up guys, and welcome to episode 4 of the Road to Vegan Shredded series. There's been a bit of the spanner in the works in the last couple of weeks, so find out in this episode what I did to overcome it and how I'm gonna get into the best shape of my life come shoot day. Let's dive in. Well, every morning there is a time for the V60, and what I do with my coffee is I get the full beans and I get the powder, and I get the beans. I've also got this wham grinder, which costs a couple £100 actually. A friend of mine said apparently it's all about the grinder. So I've got this woofer grinder that I then put the beans into the grinder, grind it up, and then I set up the V60 like this. So you put the powder in here, and then what I've just done now is I don't know what you call it. We put the water in, and it just sort of, you make the bed. That's what it's called. You make the bed with the V60, and then it's really simple. I add the water in a circular motion. And then I just give it a little shake. And you're probably wondering, why am I using a scale? And the reason is to get the right sort of balance between water and the coffee, so it doesn't get too diluted or doesn't get too strong. So I use a scale to measure the water. So I'm going for 400 ml with about 30 grams of beans to give me one incredible cup. Now this pack, by the way, Curious Roo, this is the one to go to. The same people that own Curious Roo, the same people that own Artisan, which is my favorite independent coffee shop in Ealing. So yeah, I'm gonna give them a subtle plug here. So you pour it in circular motions. There you go. And then I just swivel it every now and then. Now, if you're a V60 expert, you might be looking at my technique thinking it could be better, but this one does the job for me.
This is not us being vain, this is actually an engagement gift of a mug.
Show them what it looks like. Show them the picture on the front. Now we're gonna have to get a better version of that for this for this photo shoot.
Oh yeah, we'll do another one, round 2.
We'll have to do round 2 of that, and then we'll have to open up a collection of mugs. But yeah, don't worry, we're not vain. This is from a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Friday the 18th of March this morning. I am now 3 weeks and 2 days out. Now you might be wondering, why not April 1st? You know, why am I not 10 days out? Well, that's what I'm here to talk to you about. What's been going on in the last 6 weeks since episodes 2 and 3. The big thing's been I came down with COVID. So it's had to change the whole game plan. But let me talk you through how it all came about. So at the start of February, the goal, I was sitting in sort of mid 75s, low 76s, and the goal was to end February in the mid 73s. Now, completely on track. I was getting to about 18th, 19th of March, and I hit 73.5. I was completely on track and hit a new low. On the 18th of February, I went out for one of my really close friends' 30th. It's been a long time since I've been out in a bar in London. Yeah, went out into Soho. Stayed out way past my bedtime. On the day, my wife, Chani, was like, oh, she can't wait to go out. She said she can't wait to go out. And she said, can we push it to at least 10 o'clock? 11 o'clock. And I was like, let's see how I get on, right? So anyway, a couple of Diet Cokes in, catching up with mates, and I get to like 10:30, and I'm like really like pushing it. And I said, Chani, look, I'm doing this one for you. Get to 11, and I'm like, look, we gotta go. Like I'm barely stand up anymore. But anyway, got home, and the next day woke up and I felt pretty rough, hit a new body weight low, and I thought to myself, oh, maybe it's just a late night. And then all day long, I just felt like pretty tired, but I just thought to myself that this is just 73.5 kilos, what do I expect? Historically, as soon as I get below 74, the games start to play, and I just thought it just comes with the territory. As the week went on, I just started feeling more and more tired, but I was still confused between whether it was just diet fatigue or whether something else was going on, because then Chandy tested positive with COVID on Monday, and then 2 other mates tested positive from that same birthday party as well. But I was tested negative at the time, so I just carried on as is. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, did my usual thing, and then I woke up on Thursday morning, came into the living room, and Chandy goes to me, dude, you need to take a rest day. I was like, why? She's like, you look messed up. I'm like, nah, I just hit another new low. Like, this is just part of the game. You should know how it is. And a couple hours later, I thought, you know what? This is not normal fatigue. Went out for a walk, and as I was walking around the park, I started feeling like I need to sit down. So I sat down on the bench, and I don't know if this is a usual symptom, but I was literally tripping out. I felt like I was hallucinating. And I was like, I need to get home. So I stumbled my way home. Luckily, I wasn't too far away. Got home, knocked out on the sofa, took a COVID test, and I tested positive. After 2 years of avoiding COVID, it finally hit me. Okay, so I tested positive on the 24th, and then my first thought was like, shit, what are we gonna do? How's it gonna affect the next stage of the road to the vegan shredded? I decided to do something that I've never done before and actually scale back. So in my mind, I was like, look, I'm just gonna push through this. Like, forget COVID, just gonna set up a home gym setup and just grind it out. But I could just barely move, so I pulled my steps right back. I kept my calories low at this point, so I was still on 1,800 calories, which I'd been on for pretty much most of Feb. Dropped the steps down, pulled my training. I had to stay out of the gym, obviously for obvious reasons. And then on Monday was Chandy's birthday. I had a surprise there to go to Harry Potter World. And the COVID rules had changed, so I was okay to go. And I was literally just stumbling through the place. I mean, it was, as fun as it was a real grind just walking around. I got home that evening, and I was thinking, it's the 28th of Feb, I've got to be in the best shape of my life on the 1st of April. It's going to be a real grind now. Like, at this point, I'm starting to lose ground on where I wanted to be in terms of targets. It'd been playing on my mind for a few days now, like, should I push it back? Should I grind it out? And so I messaged the coaching team, and I was like, guys, what do you think I should do? The consensus was a diet break. And I'd never done a diet break before. And effectively, it's bringing yourself back to maintenance and effectively just focusing on maintaining your body weight as opposed to pushing harder. But I was like, okay, that's cool, but is it going to make the rest of the prep like much, much harder? So then I decided, given that there's no natural bodybuilding competitions in April, which is what I was hoping to do as well, and I'm not tied to a specific day, I decided to push the shoot back from the 1st of April to the 10th of April. So that's why I'm 3 and a bit weeks out, and as of this morning, we have effectively pulled the pin. Okay, so I ran a diet break from the 1st of March to the 6th of March, and what we did is we took the calories from 1,800 up to 2,200, and dropped the steps from 14,000 down to 10,000, pulled all cardio, and at this point, for the first half of the diet break, I still wasn't training. I just kept training days at the usual sort of 4 days a week. Yeah, doing this diet break was against all instincts. Like, as a type A personality, where the hardest thing is to take a rest day, the hardest thing is to slow down, the hardest thing is to take a nap. For me to say to myself and to admit to myself, look, Akash, you're gonna have to pull pull back and just maintain. It's like one of the hardest things I've done when it comes to these sorts of preps. Before, I'd always prided myself on pushing as hard as possible, but pulling back has added a new tool to the toolbox. And I've actually learned a ton from this diet break. Managed to maintain my body weight exactly throughout that period. And when I came back, having taken 9 days off training, it ended up being 9 days off resistance training, came back with no strength loss, no muscle loss, really, really recovered and back, well back in the game. So massive positive, and yeah, I'm excited to implement it in the future. Okay, so I'll tell you how I flipped the switch after the diet break and of this morning. That's gonna take me to the best shape of my life, and also what I learned about this diet break that can help you, because there's a ton here that I think is an underutilized tool that can help you maintain more muscle, feel better on a diet, and effectively get better results. So stay tuned for later in the scene. And just one more thing, you'll realize that I haven't given up my social life. One thing, a myth that a lot of people think is if you're dieting hard, if you get into incredible shape, you have to put all your social plans on hold, you have to give up the rest of your life. But if there's anything that I've learned over the last 10 years is you can absolutely get into the shape of your life whilst keeping a very active social life. And that ultimately, that's what it's all about.
I think it's fair to say we've definitely doubled down on more quality time in the last few months. Just me having a higher step target, yeah, dragging you out for more and more walks. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done the morning walks which are given, and then every evening, just as I'm winding down, getting ready to relax, he's like, right, I need to get another hour or 2 hours steps in, and you're coming with me, or do you want to come? So yeah, it's been nice, and I always say yes. I have to drag myself out, but the walk's been really, really enjoyable. Good chats in them as well, don't you think?
Yeah, I think you're just doubling down on quality time. Like, if anyone hasn't done the 5 love languages test, I highly recommend you do it with your partner, with your spouse. And for us, our top love language is quality time.
Yeah, quality time for sure.
For us to now have like we're effectively having 2 hours a day of walking, where we're just having conversation. There's no distractions, there's no phones, no Netflix, and just connecting on a different level. And when we have that plus our breakfast and dinner that we are non-negotiable about, I think it's just a really good environment for taking the relationship to the next level.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll continue this after you're shredded as well, so it's been a really good part of the day.
The other benefit is that we're now going to the gym together. Why don't you tell about that experience?
Yeah, so in the morning, I never used to go to the gym in the mornings, but I've been going more straight after our walks. And then he's on the treadmill at the top, or the stepper, and I'm doing my own workout down below.
We don't train together.
No, we don't train together. I think I'm too beginner. And then he's there like shouting at my form, do this differently, move the arm this way. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And everyone's probably looking around thinking, who is this guy shouting at this girl? Like giving her instructions. But yeah, I've got my own little PT on the stepper whilst I'm doing my thing in the gym, which is nice.
Yeah, it's been nice just doing more things together. We've also been doing different activities. So, what have we done? We've done bouldering, we've done a tourist day in London.
Yeah, we did a tourist day in London. So this is, as we can't really, or Akash doesn't want to eat out as much, especially now that it's coming towards the end of the kind of shredding phase. We've been doing other things, so ways of exploring for our kind of day dates and day evenings. So we've been doing activities, which has been really nice. The bouldering session was really fun.
We're doing more coffee shops. Yesterday we went for a tea.
Yeah.
We were on a long walk. We thought, why don't we stop for a tea? She had an ice cream. I had lemon and ginger tea. It's just finding different ways to sort of socialise, different ways to have dates. You don't need to always go out and have a 3-course meal with drinks. You can go for a coffee, go for a drink, go for a walk. If anything, our relationship's gone to the next level, and people often think something like dieting ruins your relationship. I think that's total BS. I think it's the way you approach it. And it's about having open, honest conversations about why it's important. You know why it's important to me, so you support me through it. I think it's allowed us to go to the next level, not deter. So if you're finding dieting is affecting your relationship, firstly have a conversation with your spouse about why it's important to you. But then also, don't just sacrifice the date nights or the day dates. You can still keep them going. You should definitely keep them going. Just get inventive at how you do them.
He still made the effort to come and do something with me, so that's been really nice.
Yeah, like Harry Potter word on her birthday.
Yeah.
I was literally just like dragging my feet around the place, but it was fun. It was
I had
enjoyable.
the
She
best
had
time.
ever. She had the, what are they? The Hogwarts cakes and the Hogwarts sherbets or whatever these magical treats are. I was having a decaf coffee, but yeah, it's about the experiences, not the food. The best coffee shop in the world. That's a bold statement. And we got a full stand. So next time, we get to spin the wheel. This is where we come for our weekly check-in every week. We also do some work here pretty regularly. And yeah, welcome. 1 or 2 mornings a week, I will come to Artisan to do some work, either some strategic stuff or some deep work where I just need to crank away a bunch of stuff. Order my batch brew, and then I get cracking. Every time I'm really dialed in with my nutrition and really dialed in with body composition, is my productivity, my thinking, my cognition just goes through the roof. Creativity is super high. We just get through so much stuff, and I always find these sort of 2-3 months that I'm really dialed in, things step change so much, and it's been no different this time with the business really step changing since the turn of the year. So I've got a bunch of cool updates that it'd be cool to share here, and one of them has been really accelerating the build of technology. And as some of you may know, we're building completely custom built proprietary technology for our members to really leverage and give them the best possible results, not only in the short term, but setting them up for life so they can stay in shape for the rest of their life. And we're building what's quickly becoming the world's leading transformation platform that's got so many cool elements and features into it that members can utilize, that gives them that edge that you can't get with just spreadsheets and emails and it's what the sort of typical online overnight coaches seem to be providing. So what we're building is we're boiling down sort of decades of experience that we've cultivated in getting people amazing transformations and building the ultimate platform to transform. And what I'm learning about technology is really cool, and it's teaching me a lot about business and teaching me a lot about the power of prioritization, allocation of resources, both in time, energy, team, financials, and learning how to sort of juggle the different priorities. Because in technology, what I'm learning is our members will be like, we want this, and we'll as a team are like, we've got this in the roadmap, and it's trying to juggle it all, trying to balance it all, and get the right orders so everyone gets the best possible experience. And ultimately, what it's all about is results. And it's been really cool seeing some of the incredible results coming through and seeing some of the feedback. So I'm super pumped to continue this journey and develop something which is going to be truly remarkable and industry defining and totally game changing for the online transformation space. So practicing what I preach, I am using Pro to help me on this journey with all my tracking, with all my coaching, and even coaches need coaches. So we need an objective eye, a third eye. So in my cohort, so I have a specific cohort that I am with. So this is my internal team. And as part of the internal team, I just drop messages in here and questions, and we call it bounce back ideas. So it's really cool. And here's one that might be interesting for you, is that this was 2 days ago. And I said, quick update, currently 72.1 kilos, held for 3 days, nutrition plan is here, training is this, here's where I'm at, what do you guys think? And then it's been cool to like run through the different elements here. And what I got here is my marching orders. If I didn't drop tomorrow or Friday, and today's Friday, go down to 1600. So this morning I just announced 17.1.9, time to flip the switch to find the next gear. And here we go. So this is a really cool part of the platform where we do all the coaching, we give the feedback, the Q&As, and yeah, got to practice what I preach. And yeah, I'm excited to get through these next 3.5 weeks. It's definitely kicking up a notch now. So along with building the technology, improving the product, seeing our incredible members achieve remarkable things, also been building out the team a lot more this year.
And since January, we've actually hired 5 new members of the team. So again, just from a leadership perspective, I'm learning lots about management, around organization, around how to structure the team, and that's been incredible. We've hired 5 new members of the team, and here's one to introduce you to, Chanli. She's now working in the business, and that's been a really interesting and a really amazing part of our relationship journey, but also the business. She's made an amazing impact straight away. And yeah, over to you. Like, how's it been, and what are you focusing on, and what's some of the challenges that we faced?
Yeah, so I'd say before joining, I think it's something firstly we've been toying with the idea of for about probably 18 months to 2 years, around how we can make it work together, how I can make an impact in the business with the skill sets that I have. And then finally, I feel like a good opportunity came about, which was around member engagement, so supporting the members on their journey, making sure they have the best experience possible, because I'm a bit of a people person.
She's completely everything I'm not, she is, and that's why I think it works well. You know, I love days where I don't have meetings and calls. She would. I don't know what she'd do.
I love speaking to people.
She doesn't have people interaction. I don't know what she'd do.
Yeah, I need that. So it's been really nice. So since I joined, it's been about 5 weeks now, I think, and it's been really, really interesting. I've thrown myself into the deep end. I've made a lot of changes actually, and the team have been so receptive to it, which has been incredible. Like they're very open-minded. We've got a great team, so it's been really nice working with everyone. But I was a bit nervous as well about going into a business where you're the wife of the owner, and I just didn't want it to be any awkwardness between me or the team, or also more that I didn't want them to feel like they couldn't give feedback about me. Like if I'm not doing a good enough job, I didn't want someone to be like, oh, I can't say anything because she's the wife of the boss kind of thing. But I don't feel like that. Once I'm in it, like now I'm in it, there's nothing like that. It's been incredible. And it's been amazing speaking to the members and seeing them grow, seeing their transformations, and just improving their overall experience. So yeah,
she's been heavily involved with the development of the product as well, and the experience, and the wins coming through are incredible.
Yeah, I always hear the members talking about on the Facebook group and within the platform as well, just how much they're loving the new platform, all the new features that we're bringing out as well, and how it's helped their journey. So that's been really, really positive.
So I think as Chanli said, we've been toying with this idea for about 18 months, and I think we were hesitant because you hear of the bad stuff of how it can affect relationships, but I think ultimately we just sat down and we were like, look, we're one unit, we're a team. Pouring your energy into RNT and pouring your expertise, intelligence, skill set, and given that we complement each other in our we're opposites in our strengths, it's a no-brainer, and it's win-win. And then I think one thing probably worth mentioning is just the inherent challenges that come with it, because I think what we found is there's a few things. The one is creating boundaries, so we're not just talking about work all the time. The second thing I think is also being really honest and open in communication, and this is obviously something we're always working on, but in our weekly check-in, we have the first one is appreciation, second one is to-dos, third is plans for good times, fourth is opportunities to improve, and now we have a new section called RNT relationship check-in, and it's basically like how we're working together and what we need to improve on, and I think that's allowed us to sort of catch things really quickly and improve, right?
Yeah, so what I found is one of the things around being hesitant around working together is the whole piece you just said around, okay, well, we've heard of many relationships kind of break because of that, and I just didn't want anything to impact our relationship. And the boundaries piece has been really interesting, because what I found initially when I started is when we went for walks or when we did things together, when our conversations were happening, it revolved a lot around RNT, and that's just the natural instinct to talk about work. How's your day been? Did you get on with this? And I think that's something that we had to reel back on, because every conversation I was like, I can't actually make it about work, and I was conscious to be like, right, let's make that change and shift to continue talking about other things in our day as well, other things that we've been up to, general stuff that we used to talk about us. So that was a nice boundary, and we caught that quite early because of this check-in, and we then decided from then, right, let's make that shift.
Honestly, it was like a 10 p.m. Oh yeah, by the way, you sent that email to send that email to that person. And that's when we knew, it was like, oh no, we need to rein this
I
in.
remember one time you were getting into bed and I was about to go and watch some TV and you were like, oh, did you just send that email? And I was like, oh my God, no, did I news? And then he's like, oh no, and then we were just chatting and I was like, oh my God, it's late. And then he was like, oh no, it just didn't work. It's just something we had to.
But we kind of reeled it in real quick, and now we're on top of it. I think we're kind of finding our flow. So yeah, that's been an amazing change this year. Again, it's come in the last couple of weeks and last couple of months, but it's been a real step change. It's step changed the business to the next level. Some other cool things we've been doing in the business and just overall is we've been partnering with a few charities as well, which has been really cool. I talk about the physical being the vehicle for the greater good, but for me, that's not just in the person that we're impacting, but the physical can be the vehicle for other causes as well. And I always like tying in the work that we're doing with our members with greater causes that also need our attention as well, that are close to my heart. And one area that I've always had a strong passion for is helping youth in the age bracket of sort of 16 to 24 unlock their potential and get the resources, coaching and mentoring they need to really realize what they can do, especially the underprivileged youth in London. You often think of London, you think wealth and money, but there's a lot of poverty in London and a lot of people who need our help. And we partnered with City Gateway in Q4 of 2021. Raised some money for there, and this year we're partnering with I Can, You Can Too, a really amazing charity run by a friend of mine, Nilesh Dosa, and they focus on giving coaching resources and mentoring to underprivileged youth in London. And for our recent Void workshop that we hosted for our community, where we have 3 objectives. The first is to teach our members intensity and take them into the void where they're pushing really hard, and they're training way beyond their comfort zone. And if you haven't watched episode 2, just click here and you can see myself going through the void and what that really takes. But that's the first objective, take them into the void. The second objective is to show them optimal technique and how to train effectively. And the third is to connect as a community. And all those 3 things combined is bringing the community together. But we all the proceeds from the event go towards these incredible causes. The recent Void workshop we hosted a couple of weeks ago, we raised £3,000 for I Can, You Can Too, which is going to help use the physical as a vehicle to unlock their potential. So that's been really cool. And we've also partnered with Get Up and Give Back, which is linked to Property Entrepreneur, a group of 150 entrepreneurs in the property circles, where RNT effectively is the body transformation element to it. And what Get Up and Give Back do is they promote physical well-being for entrepreneurs and mental well-being for entrepreneurs. They tie it into an activity, so we're aiming for 150 million steps amongst 150 entrepreneurs, and we're aiming to raise £150,000 for mental health charities this year. So that's an incredible cause, and again, close to my heart because I know that what we do at RNT as a physical transformation impacts you mentally, and mental health is something that we all need to talk more about, we all need to focus more on, and being able to partner with this incredible cause and help raise an incredible amount of money for mental health is awesome. So if anything, the mental health link this year in particular is especially important because a couple of weeks ago I lost a friend of mine to suicide, and I've never known anyone personally who's taken their own life. And when I think about the biggest cause of death for under 35s is actually suicide. And when I got this news, it completely threw me for a few days because every other thought was pretty much about what could I have done, how could I have helped, and also what drives people to this. And I think more than anything, it's just a reminder that as a community, we've got to check in with one another. We've got to make sure that our loved ones are okay, and really asking about if someone is actually okay on a deeper level, because surface level chat here isn't enough. We need to connect deeper, and we need to be there in ways that potentially we aren't always. So the link to the mental health
charities that we're doing, and one of them is actually specific to suicide, is particularly special this year. Last but not least, lots been going on. Last but not least is did a really cool talk recently at King's College London to a group of medics and doctors, and talking about the power of fitness to transform medicine and our approach to medicine and lifestyle medicine. And if we look at all the top mortality reasons in the world, pretty much all of it is linked to obesity, lifestyle, sedentary behavior, diet, and all of it can be proactively improved upon if we just take care of our physical bodies and physical health from a young age. And the message I gave to these doctors was, let's stop going to prescriptions and let's start giving patients practical advice on how to implement a healthy lifestyle, make it seamless for them, and actually make a difference. Not just tell them, yeah, have an apple instead of a cereal bar, but what can you do to make a real difference? And it was really cool. And another thing I enjoy doing on a regular basis, because I think at RNT we're really lucky in that we get the amount of contact we do with people to make a fundamental impact in their lives, where we don't just change their lives physically, we don't change their life mentally, but we can actually extend lives. And we've seen it so many times when people come to us in their 40s, 50s and 60s, that their blood work completely transforms, that their doctors are like, what are you guys doing? What have you done? And they're coming off meds. And I think it's important that we remember that whilst everything we're talking about is, I'm talking about now getting shredded on a vegan diet, but this goes way beyond just the physical. And this is about health and life extension and life improvement in so many ways you can't even fathom. Okay, so now we know it's business as usual. What am I doing to get into the best shape of my life in these final stages? So on the 6th of March, I ended the diet break. After doing 2200 for almost a week, went back to the pre-diet break calorie and setup. So 1800, 14,000 steps, and 3 times 400 calories on the stepper. Whether that's exactly 400 calories or not, doesn't matter, but it's just the metric that I'm using. As of this morning, I've pulled it down to 1600 with the game plan to now hopefully take me all the way to the finish line now. So flip the switch and looking forward to grinding out the last few kilos. A couple things I've noticed, I am being more strategic with my days. So normally I have breakfast around 12. Some days I have it at 12:30, 1, just to delay it even more, because I find once I have my first meal, then you want to have the rest of them sort of fairly close together. I've added in herbal teas, decafs in the afternoon, just to aid with satiation and hunger. And I'm being more strategic with my steps as well, just to make sure that they are spread out in the day and I'm not sort of cramming them all the way at the end of the day, or even just front loading them at the end of the day, because then it kind of affects overall energy for the rest of it. So yeah, more strategic with stuff, and feeling good and ready to rock. But look, I might be saying I'm feeling good, but you can ask my wife what she thinks about that. The other real hack that can work really well and is really important is meal hygiene. So meal hygiene is effectively slowing down your meals to snail's pace. Make sure you're having 20 to 30 bites or chews every time you take a bite. It's making sure your meal is lasting at least 20 minutes. This helps with satiation so much. I see so many people just swallow their foods down, knock back meals in 5 minutes because they're busy. But honestly, take the time to have your meals and you'll find you feel more satiated, your digestion's better. And as you get deeper and deeper into a deficit, you need to be knuckled down on your meal hygiene. In terms of like how I'm really feeling on the grind, overall like it feels good, but obviously the energy is getting lower, more having to think twice about when I get up, plan my sort of steps a bit better. And there is obviously that sort of, you get better days, you get good days, you get bad days, but it's all part of the process. When people ask me what the difference between being sort of beach lean, shoot lean is, and being bodybuilding shredded, the only difference is time. There's no magic wands, there's no fairies, there's no secret supplements. It's literally more time in the game.
You just got to spend longer in a deficit. And for a lot of people, that's where they trip up, in that they think they need to go, they think they need to add in some sexy stuff, or they think there's some magic between the two, but you just got to be in there for longer. You've got to create that orchestrated suffering for longer. And this is something I want to touch on, in that I'd say the word orchestrated very deliberately, because this is orchestrated, and this is a privilege to do this. It's a privilege to be able to worry about your calories and worry about body composition and do something like this, where you're pushing yourself to the extremes of physical and physical health, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment. I don't need to repeat what it is, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. A lot of people don't have this opportunity, and we've got to remember that this is a privilege. So if you're dieting, or if you're saying to yourself, well, I have to go and do steps, or I have to go and train, or I have to eat well, stop that talk, stop that mindset, because this is a privilege and we get to do this, and we have the opportunity to take care of our physical health. So always remember that, no matter what stage of the journey you're at. So what have I been like?
So I've experienced this diet from Akash back in 2019, but it's when we weren't living together. So I saw him once a week, and I saw, I think, the best of him during that day that I saw him in the week. But now things are a bit different. Obviously we live together, and I've been experiencing the diet effects daily. And although it's overall been fine, I have noticed that you're a bit more direct with certain things, potentially a little bit more snappy than usual. But outside of that, it's been quite normal. So I just know, and I just know that this is what you're going through, so accept that, fine, it is just what it is for now.
Yeah, and one thing I'm really conscious about, and I try and be as conscious as I can with you and with anyone really, is not letting my choices affect other people. I think some people can be complete idiots around when they're dieting, and they make everyone else suffer around them. And I think I've made that mistake in the past, and after I did that, I vowed that I'd never do that again. So if I do slip up, hopefully it's not too bad, but I am very deliberate and conscious about how am I coming across, because ultimately it's my choice, right? I'm not forcing anyone else to do this. It's my choice, my challenge, my journey, and it's about maximizing it rather than making people feel bad around it. But yeah, definitely my tolerance for BS has gone, like, I've got no tolerance for BS, right?
Agreed.
And normally I don't have much tolerance, but now it's like, nah, nothing. But with that, here's what's interesting. My creativity is really high, my cognition is really high, I'm super productive. And I also wrote something the other day in my journal. I was like, the more dialed in I am physically and the more activity I'm doing, the less I need to do things like meditation and sort of general personal development. I feel like this is the best personal development, and this is the best way to introspect and get insights, because you're just in a really dialed in, deprived state. And I find the more physically active I am and the deeper I get into this, the less I'm meditating and feel the need to do so, but I'm actually getting the benefits of meditation from this. Okay, so what have I learned in this dieting phase so far that I'm going to take forward? And the biggest one is something Ivan on my team said to me. He said, more is not better, better is better. And this was after having discussions around the diet break and implementing the diet break, because normally I'm that guy that prides himself on hammering over 20,000 steps a day, over a gram of caffeine a day, all the stimulants, the pre-workouts, 1,300 calories, as low as calories I can get away with. And if I compare my 2017 and 2019 preps, that's how it's ended up. Whereas this time I'm in a completely different scenario, as I've described in the setups. So that's been the biggest learning, in that to get into insane shape, yes, you need to work hard. Yes, you need to change a lot of things, but if you do it right and you do it smart, you can do it without sort of killing yourself and burning yourself into the ground. And that's been my biggest learning so far on this prep. As of this morning, I'm 71.9 kilos. Normally, when I'm in the 71, 72, 73, I'd be absolutely in pieces, and every day is like somehow I've got to get through this. Whereas this time it's been really different, and I think I'll put it down to a couple of reasons. So the first is sleep. All my previous preps was when I used to use an alarm clock, and one of the biggest things I've changed in my life in the last year and a half is throwing away the alarm clock. So now I'm giving my body the rest it needs. So some days I'll be sleeping for 10 hours, some days I'm sleeping for 8 hours, some days it's 7.5. it's whatever my body needs. And yes, I have the luxury of not having young kids. And yes, I have the flexibility of my schedule, but I'm using them to my advantage, and having thrown away the alarm clock, I think it's been the biggest game changer for my recovery. And as a result, it's been the biggest game changer for my strength in the gym, from a muscle retention perspective, but also from an energy, hunger, satiation, overall perspective. I think if I was thinking about all the factors that could contribute to making this prep quote unquote easier, it's been sleep as a key factor. The second thing has been stress management. Compared to 2017 and 2019 preps, my level of stress management is in such a much better place. I've got greater peace of mind. I'm doing more unplugged stuff. I've been working on myself a lot in the last couple of years, and it's really paid off in terms of my level of stress management and perception, my perceived level of stress management as well. And I've been talking about doing a lot of my cardio, my walking, and all my training has been unplugged. That 30 minutes on the stepper has become almost like a meditation, which is probably why I spoke about earlier, that the more physically active I am, the less meditation I feel like I need. And it's for these reasons of spending more time unplugged that it all builds to adding to peace of mind, but also just improving your stress management. The third thing is activity management. And as I said previously, I've done 20K steps, 7 days a week cardio for 60 minutes. This time I'm walking the steps up slowly. I've stayed between 10 and 14K. I've only done 3 days a week of cardio. And I've realized that the effect that's had is it's allowed my body to recover better, and in turn, recover from sessions better, maintain strength, and as a result, maintain more muscle. And the last tool is a diet break that we implemented for a week. And I've never done it before. I implemented it around sort of 7-8 weeks into it. And what I've found is, firstly, it's taught me that as a type A personality, that chilling out is actually good. You can take 1 step back for 2 steps forward, because since I flipped the switch after the diet break, my body's been on fire. My metabolism's been firing on all cylinders, and I've been dropping at a really quick rate. So it's definitely a new tool that I want to implement in the future for any future diets, but also with our members at RNT. I think it's an underutilized tool that could add a lot more longevity to a process like this, but also teach more sustainability, but also make it more enjoyable, because you can add recovery periods into a diet where it gives your mind and your body a break. And I think all of this combined has allowed training progression to stay really strong, strength to stay really strong, because in the past, once I dipped below 75 kilos, that's where my strength starts to tank, especially in movements like pressing and deadlifts and things where leverages really make a difference. I've managed to hold it all the way up to 72, which is unheard of. And it's been incredible from a strength retention perspective. And I think all these factors combined have allowed me to maintain performance in a way I've never done before. And with my training, I've kept it at 4 days a week. Again, previous preps, 6-7 days a week training. And again, it's just helped with joint recovery, neural recovery, muscular recovery, and overall just make for a more pleasant preparation. So what about plants then? How much has a plant-based diet impacted strength, performance, the overall feeling of this prep being the best one I've ever been on? I think there's so many factors to consider, such as experience on doing this, the sleeps, the stress, but all of it combined, I believe has made this the best prep possible. But as I get more and more advanced into this plant-based journey, it's going to be interesting to see how it impacts strength, muscle mass, and performance in the future. But it's definitely one to consider for now. As we get into the next part of this episode, I'm looking forward to discussing and sharing what it's been like on this vegan lifestyle so far. So the reaction to episode 3 of the Road to Vegan Shredded, titled "The Shocking Truth About the Meat You're Eating for Protein," has been incredible. I've had a few people say it's been the best video piece episode or whatever on veganism. And I think what's really cool about it is it ties in things like Seaspiracy, Cowspiracy, Gamechangers, ties them all together, but without the sensationalist propaganda, over-the-top elements that some of those other documentaries have done. So if you haven't watched episode 3, click here for the full episode, and I guarantee you it's gonna make you think differently. As long as you go into it with an open mind, it's gonna make you think differently. But yeah, the feedback's been incredible. Oh, I've heard people talk about reducing their meat intake, reducing their fish intake, swapping out dairy for other sources of plant-based milks, and it's really cool to see small steps and small improvements that people have made in their diet, because it doesn't need to be all or nothing. You know, it's not about you're either vegan or you're not vegan, or whatever labels. I think the labeling aspect of different diets is where people trip up, and where a lot of extremist behaviors, and why people get put off as well. I think people get put off by the whole, oh, I need to now label myself as this, or I'm now on this diet, I'm now doing keto, I'm now doing vegan, I'm now intermittent fasting. And I think if we just get rid of these labels and we just focus on basic principles of fundamental nutritional practices, such as, you know, if you're chasing fat loss, staying in a calorie deficit, hitting a protein target, matching your carbs and fats to whatever's left in the calories, drinking enough water, spacing your meals out in the day so you're satiated. Just basic principles that allow you to live a lifestyle solution is what it's all about. And then the choices of food that you make should reflect that. I think if we can take away the labels and focus on just doing things a little bit better for the planet, for the environment, for the climate, we can all make a positive difference. Because if we think about some of the stats that I discussed in episode 3, and what I'm learning more and more about when it comes to sustainability and the environment as a whole, it's not gonna happen overnight. And it's not gonna happen by just saying everyone should go vegan, because I don't think that's realistic, and I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. But what we can do is we can go from having chicken 7 times a week to having it 3 times a week. Reducing it a bit by bit each day can have a massive positive impact if everyone takes that mindset. So I think getting rid of the absolutism, the extremism, can make a more plant-based lifestyle more accessible and more favorable, but also something that sounds a bit more attractive than what people may think at the moment. Okay, so here's one thing you got to remember. Just because it's vegan does not make it healthy. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and she said until vegan became mainstream, she had no problems with her weight. As soon as vegan became more mainstream, and suddenly there was now vegan donuts, there was vegan ice cream, there was vegan junk food everywhere, that's when the weight piled on. And I think there's a real lack of education in the vegan community, or the plant-based community, that's sorely missing, which is why this YouTube series is so important to me, is because what I want to do is bridge the gap between the ethical and the environmental aspects of veganism, but also teach those who've gone down that route for those reasons, that you can also be healthy and fit and strong and have muscle. There's definitely a movement for healthy lifestyle practices around being veganism, but what it's missing is the body composition, the strength, the fitness, the muscle, which is one of the reasons why I was holding off for so long, because I was scared of losing all those gains. And I want to bridge the gap between the environmentalists, the climate change aspects and reasons, the health, and then there's a fitness, body transformation, body composition. And I think it's a really important aspect of this whole series, in that showing that it can be done. And you only have to see some of the condition that I'm bringing right now to show that you can maintain muscle, you can continue to get stronger, even while staying away from meat, fish, and dairy. So what I'm learning about the plant-based lifestyle the last couple of months is that it's just so much more accessible than it's ever been. The options in supermarkets are insane. You can literally get anything you want, and not from how processed can it be. I think you can get a lot of good, there's so many good whole foods you can have, and I think a really good way to approach being more plant-based is to focus more on legumes, pulses, beans, filling your plate with fruits and vegetables, not going down the route of like, how can I just replace chicken with mock chicken and using loads of mock meats to fill your diet, because I'm not too sure still on what I think about that from a long-term perspective, and how, you know, just eating loads of processed foods in your day, I just can't see that being a good thing. But what I can see being a good thing is having more lentils, more beans, more pulses, and I've really enjoyed adding more lentils into my diet. It's become one of my new favorite foods, and I've been having a lot of it, especially recently, because you get so much volume. I think what people are missing is the volume element of plant-based diet is just insane. And if we think about from a dieting perspective, satiation is one of the best things to make adherence better. If you can be more satiated, you're more likely to adhere, and you're more likely to avoid going off track and falling into the mistake of binging or just picking at stuff and snacking, because you're always feeling satiated and full. And the good thing about a plant-based diet is there's so much volume that you can really feel full all throughout the day. And I think that's been one of the key game changers, in that I've not had to rely on too many sort of hacks to keep myself full all throughout the day, just because of the sheer volume of plant-based food. So add more plant-based food into your diet, and you'll be surprised how much more energy and how much more full you feel, just because of the size of your plate. And honestly, like some 500 calorie meals can look massive on a plate, and you think, surely this has got to be over 1,000 calories, but that's the beauty of plant-based foods. So if I was to categorize what I've learned from a fitness perspective in these past 3 months so far, I'd call it myth busting. And it starts with one of my team, Ivan, who's our head of applied research at RNT Fitness. He wrote this incredible article. Firstly, he lived the plant-based lifestyle for a few weeks to really understand and get into the weeds of what it takes. But then he researched he dove deep into all the latest research on health, fitness, and performance and strength gains when it pertains to a plant-based and vegan lifestyle. And what he found was mind-boggling. And if you haven't read it and you haven't listened to the podcast and YouTube video that we did on it, just click on the link here and you can watch it afterwards. Some of the stats are just incredible, and some of the key points I just want to highlight for today's video is you don't need to overcompensate with protein. So I think there's always this myth that you have to overcompensate with protein on a vegetarian, vegan, or plant-based lifestyle just because of the amino acid profiles. You can get away with 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilo, or 0.8 grams per pound, and still do very, very well. And that's been one thing for me, is that I don't need to have a high protein diet. The highest I've really gone on this prep is probably 150. I'm currently around 140 grams of protein, which compare that to previous preps is a whole different ballgame. It's allowed me to have more carbohydrates and fats. The high protein thing has been a big one. And where the research has got really interesting recently is it's showing more and more that when you compare omnivores to vegans on a 12-week, I believe it was 12-week, it may have been longer, study on muscle gain, where you match for all the variables of training intensity and protein intake, which are the two key things really from a muscle perspective, the results are the same. And that's really interesting, because I think we're now entering a place in the research where we're going to see evidence coming out that plant-based lifestyles are just as conducive to muscle building as a meat-focused omnivorous diet is. And I think now that we're going to have effectively more subjects to test on and more longitudinal data, it's going to get really, really interesting. We're going to continue to bust more and more myths with regards to plant-based lifestyle. So if you haven't checked out the article, podcast, and video, make sure you do, because it's gonna blow your mind as to what plant-based lifestyles can do from a health, fitness, and performance aspect. But the bottom line is, if you're ever worried about losing muscle, ever worried about losing strength, you've got nothing to worry about. And hopefully, seeing the results that I've been gaining so far, and seeing some of the numbers I'm putting up in my logbook, that should give you some confidence. Okay, so the biggest game changer in terms of volume, in my opinion, is lentils. Believe it or not, this is prepped 3 days worth of lentils that's going to go in my meal. So 75 grams per meal I have in my dinner, and it adds so much volume. So this is actually, I think it's about 500-600 grams for 3 meals. Which comes from these red lentil, whole red lentils, and they're super easy to make as well. You literally just put in some boiling water, add a few spices, and 15-20 minutes later you're done, and you get loads for what you make. And this added to your meals is a really good way to add a lot of volume and just take practical steps to being plant-based. You just got to make sure, and I think a key thing is just to educate yourself on the macros. I think where a lot of people go wrong is they'll add loads of this stuff in, but they won't consider the macros. So for example, the macros on lentils cooked tend to be around 60 grams of carbs, maybe 15 grams of protein. I'm not too sure off the top of my head, but what you just got to consider is the carb element and just making sure that you get your macros right. So for me, I've actually dropped rice this month. I haven't had rice in ages, and only because I'm having the lentils, but the lentils give so much more nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and also just adds that volume that you wouldn't get from rice. So these sorts of things can make living a plant-based lifestyle way more practical. So lentils, beans work well, black beans, black eye beans, kidney beans, all of these things are really cool. You can just get them from cans, you know, simple cans for black beans. In fact, I'll show you guys what I've got here. Butter beans here, got kidney beans here, and they're just super easy because these ones are already made because you don't need to do extra cooking. You just add it to your foods, and I think pulling away some of the sort of standard carbs like rice and potatoes and potentially oats, you can add these in and you get the extra protein punch, but also just the extra minerals and vitamins as well. So it just keeps a well-rounded approach to your plant-based diet. So definitely worth checking out. The other stuff to consider is things like this, which I really like. This one is so it's organic edamame and mung bean fettuccine. It's like edamame pasta basically, and it's made from organic edamame bean flour and a bit of mung bean flour. So you can see it here. Really good plant-based protein, and the macros are insane as well. So per 100 grams, you've got 325 calories, 42 grams of protein, 11 grams carbs, and 6 grams of fat. So I have 50 grams per meal in my dinner. So I have this mixed with the lentils, and then tempeh as well. Tempeh, which is again a great source of protein, and it's full of a lot of goodness here. So I mix this lentils, the pasta, and the veggies to make an incredible dinner, and it keeps me full. It tastes incredible, and it's packed full of loads of vitamins and minerals. So these are really good practical ways. So you could try this for like 1 meal a week, 2 meals a week, just a practical implementation of a vegan diet. And then if you did want to try, like, I'm not a big fan of using this sort of stuff daily. This is, I spoke about earlier with regards to like the mock meats and the processed foods, but seitan is a really good way to get a lot of protein, but minimize the fat. So if you look at per 100 grams, you've got 26 grams of protein, 9 grams of carbs, and 1.5 grams of fat. So this one here is called Love Seitan. It's a smoky doky flavor, but it's a really good way to add a bunch of protein, especially at the stage I'm at. High protein, low carb, low fat, which is a difficult thing to get in a vegan diet. But I'd only recommend doing things like the mock meats and the processed stuff like this once in a while. This is more of a treat thing for me. Also, in the stage I'm at where calories are low and fats and carbs are gonna get lower, I may use this to make some amazing, I tried it the other week, a black bean burrito, which tastes incredible. And the volume was just insane. I couldn't believe I was eating a full 500 calorie meal. It looked like something you get in a restaurant, and it's 1,500 calories. So you can make some really cool stuff on a plant-based diet, which gives you so much volume, and it makes life really fun. I'm really excited for this as well. I'm excited for the next stage of the journey when I come out of consolidation, food is higher, because I'm thinking, what can I experiment with? What can I try new recipes with? I'm very much limited decision fatigue whilst doing something like this, like getting absolutely shredded. Limited decision fatigue, just use a basic meal plan most days, add variety where I need to. But once we get into consolidation and I get back into more of a lifestyle solution, maintenance mode, I'm excited to see what I can do with all the calories that I have and all the different new ingredients that are now becoming more of a focal point, because it's going to be an education process for me, having spent years and years pretty much knowing just by looking at a plate what's in it when it comes to meat, fish, etc. Now I'm going through an educational process where it's like, what can we, what can we make as a plant-based lifestyle approach in a maintenance phase or in a muscle building phase. And I'm excited to see the gains that are going to come from muscle building, strength gains, because I've showed now that you can get shredded whilst maintaining a muscle. I want to now show that you can build muscle, build strength, and I want to show all-time PRs in the gym without meat or fish. So super excited for the next stage of the journey. And please don't ask me what I'm going to do after this cut's over.
So what are you going to do after the cut's over?
Man, I told you, do not ask me what I'm going to do afterwards. It's the biggest question I keep getting. What are you going to do after this cut? You're going back to normal? Why would I go back to normal? For me, this is a lifestyle shift. But once you learn certain things, once you see certain things, it's hard to go back. Now, I'm not putting a label on things, but there seems to be this fascination of like, oh, what are you going to do after you get shredded? You're going to go back to eating steaks and chicken every day. In my mind, a plant-based lifestyle is the future. I think it's the future for everyone. And for me, I'm loving this journey, and I'm excited to continue this journey. So yeah, don't ask me again. So what you actually see is a bit of an empty fridge right now, but you see a lot of Tupperwares. So we've got like 5 different Tupperwares here. Got one for a bunch of veggies. Got one for a bunch of edamame pasta, well actually 2 for edamame pasta, and also 2 for lentils. So we've got a bunch of pre-prep meals. And if you're busy and time-strapped, cooking every single meal from fresh is just gonna make things impractical for you. I think one of the biggest game changers for anyone who wants to live a healthier lifestyle is to simply get into the practice of batch cooking. It makes life so much easier, because when you get to the end of the day, you've had a busy day at work, you're tired, you're stressed or whatever, you just can't be asked to cook. All you have to do is go in the fridge, pull one of these out, portion it out, cook it, warm it up, and you've got yourself an amazing, healthy, tasty meal, which is really important. So if you're not already batch cooking, find the batch cooking process that works for you. For me, I do it every 3 days. I do 3 days work at a time. Some people do it for a week. Some people do it for even longer. So utilize this, and it's gonna make your life so much easier. And it's gonna give you better gains. One more thing on seitan, mock meats, processed meats, corn, all these new things that are coming out. The biggest reason why I see people abuse them and have them too much is because of this obsession with, I need to have loads of protein, I need to have a massively high protein diet. Remember, 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilo or 0.8 grams per pound, if you're training hard and you want to you maximize your physique, is perfectly fine. And in fact, what I'm going to do after this cut and when I'm in maintenance, I'm actually going to experiment with what 0.6 grams per pound or like 1.4, 1.5 grams per kilo looks like, because I have my theories that it could be the same in terms of results. But the bottom line is, if you think about what 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilo is, it's not as much as you think. And you'd be surprised when you add in all the incidental proteins, when you add in all the things that you're getting from pulses, beans, tofu, etc. You can hit that so easily. So you don't need to rely on abusing things like this and processed foods overall, which I think gives, I'm not too sure if that's the way to go for most. So fear not, you don't need as much protein as you think. Yeah, you're probably looking at it thinking, oh, what's that skyr yogurt he's got there? Don't worry, that's my wife's. But my wife's actually taken a lot of steps to become more plant-based, actually, just from seeing this journey myself. And you'll see, I can see there's no chicken, there's no eggs in this fridge. And I think that might be the first time I've not seen chicken and eggs in this fridge. So yeah, we are heading in the right direction. Okay, and that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed episode 4. Stay tuned for episode 5 coming out in a couple of weeks, where I'm gonna take you behind the scenes of the photo shoot day and also whether I actually got shredded on a vegan diet. Plan for the next couple of weeks is to continue grinding, continue pushing. We'll have a peak week and then it's the big day. So stay tuned and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.